Hi, I'm Teresa Hoffman, Program Assistant with the Division of Long-Term Services and Supports. My main duties are as follows. Assist providers with processing claims for non-Medicaid consumers, which I will talk about more on the next slide. Assist LTSS staff with updating the mainframe, SW21, 910 system, and Provider 912s. Backup for Kim with entering claims and fee slip issues. Backup for Kim for phone calls. Assist Beth Dockin, Deputy Director with Assisted Living Subsidies. Work with providers to collect refunds for payments made in error. We receive a fair amount of calls about waiver claims and who to contact to get help on them. I refer them to the Medicaid TSU Claims Processing Unit at 1-800-452-7691. Provider enrollment questions go to 1-866-718-0084. Anytime you have questions on any of our systems other than waiver, please contact me. I will do what I can to assist the problem. I mail out the subsidy payments to our assisted living facilities once a month and help Beth with any refunds or calls or issues that may come up with those. We manually enter all of the fee slips, so when I have downtime, I will help Kim enter those and work with those that have missing SID numbers or we don't know who they are for and other issues that they may have. Assisting providers is also part of my duties. Assistance with the completing request for payment form correctly, provide information relating to the payment process, answering questions related to when payments will be received by providers, answering questions related to other long-term service programs such as waiver claims, fee slips, etc. I have providers that may have questions on how to complete the request for payment form. I explain how they fill it out based off of the information provided on the service authorization. This helps them know where to retrieve the information that is needed on the claims. I will explain the whole payment process to providers that inquire about how the claims process all works. I explain that the claims are received on a daily basis and assigned a control or other known as claim number. Then they are manually entered onto the SSIS mainframe system, and if there aren't any issues with them, it will pay on the next payroll. I explain that our payrolls run every Tuesday night and that the monies, once okayed by our finance department, are then released on Wednesdays to the entity that handles our funds for direct deposits. The entity then disperses the funds into the accounts that were provided by our providers. The monies are usually in the bank accounts on Thursdays or Fridays of that same week. Claims that have errors are delayed from paying until the errors they have are corrected by either the provider or the LTSS specialist. Assisting LTS staff. Below is a picture or screen print of what the 910 system looks like. The screen print is referred to as the 910 SW21 or mainframe system. This is the system where you will enter your consumers and any and all services that they receive and the time frame that they receive the services, the amount that is authorized for a provider to be able to bill on the request for payment form, also known as the 522. All issues with the 910 system should be directed to me first before contacting the BIT help desk. When entering new consumers onto the system, you must do two things that are important. First, you would do a name query on the system to be sure they aren't currently or haven't been a consumer in the past. To do this, you would type SW21 QUE, their name, first name, comma, last name, A, and then whatever their name is. If they have been, for example, Green, GREEN, comma, Karen, question mark. If they have been a consumer before, they should show up on the system. Then you would continue with the same client ID number, also referred to as the SID number. Be sure to have 2 zeros in front of the consumer ID number when you enter them onto the system. Example, 0013552222. If you are missing one of the leading zeros, the SID number will be incorrect and have to be deleted off and re-entered. Above is an example of a 910 screen. This is one of the main things that cause a fair amount of errors on our claims when we are processing them. In the red boxes at the top are the achievement date and the disposition date. These dates are very important as they will prevent claims from paying if not set up correctly in the system. If the 910 line has a pending line of P01XXX, that means the line is pending or active. When this is the case, the system reads the achievement date or the date to the left. When a 910 line is terminated with example T01XXX, the 910 system reads the disposition date or the date to the right. This is very important to remember as you are setting up the time frame for services. If you have a claim, for example, for the month of August for 08095 services, for example, above will allow the claim to pay because the line is pending and it's good until the end of August. Let's say that the line is terminated with the T01XXX and the August 27th 14 date that is on the example. In this case, the claim that is for August 2017 will not pay and will have a Service 29 error because the date the system is reading is the disposition date or the date to the right. That date, as you can see, says the line was only good or open until August 27th, 2014. That date doesn't cover the August 31st, 17 ending date on the claim. Just remember the date to the right or disposition date has to be a date that the services end. Pending reads to the date to the left, terminated reads to the date to the right. Next is an example of a service authorization. The form is key for providers. This form tells providers all the information that they need to know in order to bill services on the 522 request for payment. As you can see, this has the provider's name, the name of the consumer, and the consumer's SID or client ID that they are to bill under. Note, do not add the check digit onto the consumer ID number when putting it on the service authorization. The check digit is the number that the 910 system adds to the end of the consumer ID number when they are initially added on the SW21 system. Providers will bill using the consumer ID that way, and that will cause an error on the claim when it's entered. This is because the SID number will be wrong on the claim due to the extra digit in the number. This form has the time frame and dates of service that the provider can bill on the claims. This tells the providers what service codes and how many units they can bill for. In the cases of assisted devices, meals, and any type of medical supplies, it will also tell them the maximum amount that they are authorized to bill for. If they are allowed to bill $100 per month for nutritional supplements, that amount should be on the service authorization so that the providers are aware of what the limit is. Anytime that there is a change of any kind to the service, the providers need to have a new service authorization sent to them so they are aware of any changes. The information on this form should also be the same as on the 910 system so that we are consistent with timeframes in SAMs, 910s, and service authorizations so that all systems match. This is an example of a caregiver claim that is filled out correctly. This should be completed by the provider that is doing the caregiver services and signed by them. They must also include their caregiver calendar. We use the calendar to verify the number of units being billed based on what is on their calendars. Any errors on all of our claims have to be corrected by the providers themselves. The only time we can make any changes to the claims is if it's deemed worker error that caused the error. If the error is due to something the provider has done wrong, then they are responsible for making the needed changes to get it paid. Our process is that I will email the claims that need corrections made to them to the providers if we have an email on file. The providers can then email or fax the corrected claim back to me. If it is a distance to travel or no email, etc. is available, then I will email it to the worker and the provider can come into the local office and make any needed corrections to the claims, and then the office staff will get the corrected claim back to me. Some providers will enter each day individually on the claim on separate lines on the claim. That isn't necessary. They can list the dates of service and units all on one line. All claims can only have 1 month per claim, and they can't bill until the month is over. There are exceptions if the provider is absolutely positive they won't be providing services any other days in the month. They can mail in the claim. The claim and calendar both have to reflect the dates. Example, if they did services from September 1st only, then the dates on the claim should say 9/1 to 9/1, and that is what their calendar should reflect also. We can't bill half units. Some providers try to bill for say 23.5 units. Our system can't process those odd units until the units are adjusted. Some providers will bill, for example, that they were there at 12:05 to 9:03. Those extra few minutes are dropped off and not counted. This is the caregiver example calendar that gives the previous slide of the request for payment form. The time provided is not logged correctly on the calendar. As you see, the provider didn't log in any of the time she provided services. To fill out the calendar correctly, providers should log, for example, if they worked 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is what should be written on the date box on the calendar that they provided caregiver services for. To the right of each week, they should enter the total number of hours worked for each week. The number of hours is then multiplied by 4 to get the total number of units that should be billed on the claims. The unit price is their hourly rate divided by 4. All services are broke down into 15-minute increments, so that is why the time is calculated this way. The calendar should be verified by the care receiver and then signed by both parties. This is an example of a 912 form. This form is used to add new providers to the SW24 mainframe system and on SAMS. This form is where you fill out the provider name, address, and telephone number. This is also the form where you put the provider number that was assigned to the provider. If this is a new provider or a provider that hasn't provided services for a year or more, we will also need an updated or new W-9 direct deposit information. On the bottom part of this 912 is where you would add any and all services that each provider can and will provide, when the services can start, and the amount they can bill for. The circled area above is where the unit price goes for providers. For caregivers, this would be the 15-minute breakdown amount. Example, if a provider gets $5 per hour, you would put $2.50 in this column. When working with direct deposits, it's preferred as if most cost efficient and less apt to be stolen or lost like a paper check. If you can get a provider to go direct deposit, that is best. Some providers do not or cannot have a bank account for one reason or another. These types of cases, we will make an exception and allow them to be paid by check. We can deposit into checking, savings, or some types of debit cards. When setting up provider for direct deposit, we must have some kind of bank document to back up the information they are providing is their account. We need a form or something that shows the name of the bank, the names on the bank account, and what type of account it is. We cannot deposit money into any account that doesn't show the provider as a valid user on the account. The papers submitted would have to back up this information before we can set them up on direct deposit and pay them. Thank you for your time. If you need my assistance, please contact me via email or phone number 605-773-3656.